Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are not new here. My name is Anna. I'm a certified personal coach and psychologist, and today I'm going to tell you about a process of changing a negative belief or a negative pattern in your behavior due to a request that I said yes to a long time ago and I haven't still done the video. So here it is. And I will take you through the process and the steps of how to change a negative pattern or like a negative belief that we have. So a negative pattern is something that we have in our behavior where we act upon a belief that is not helpful anymore. It might have been helpful at some point in our lives, and it is usually created because of our upbringing. So maybe because of how things were in our family, or due to religion, due to society, due to many other cultural things. And we internalize it as some sort of universal truth, while it's most often not. And we act upon it as if it were this universal truth. And a lot of the times it can be unhelpful or actually even harmful, because we act in the world as if it was the way that we believe it to be, while, as I said, it's usually not. So how can we know that we have one? Well, first of all of us have, we have thousands of them, but some of them are more harmful than others and maybe more urgent to change than others. And if you notice that you have a pattern of, for example, relationships, because it's one of the areas where it's easiest to notice that. So, for example, you always end up with people who cheat on you, or you always end up with people who don't make their own money and they live by your means. And in the end, you get tired of that and then the cycle repeats. Or it can be your own relationship with money, like you always spend as much as you earn or above the amount that you earn. Or it can be a work relationships, so you end up sometimes in places, or often in places, where people take advantage of you, or you overwork and stuff like that. So if you know that there is something that has been the problem for the majority of your life, and you notice that no matter how much you know that it's not right, you can just not shake it off. There we know that it's something like rather deeply ingrained. But the first step to changing a pattern is actually realizing that there is a problem, because a lot of the people kind of just accept that it is the way that the world is, so they don't even believe that the change is possible, while it almost always is. And when we realize that something is not right, a lot of the times I notice it, especially in my clients, because most of my clients are super highly intelligent. So it can become this kind of like, I know that I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel this way and I cannot do anything about it. Or I know I shouldn't do this thing, but it's just stronger than me. I cannot stop doing it. And it doesn't mean that you're stupid or that you have like weak willpower. It just means that there is a pattern that you haven't worked through yet, and that it's a sign that you can. And actually understanding that there is a problem is like 1/3 of the solution to this problem. So without that, it's impossible. Now, here we need to be very careful, because at this stage, especially people who are highly intelligent and who have read a lot of psychology books and self-help books, and they think, okay, I will just train myself to do this. Like, I will use my willpower to make myself behave in the way that I know that is right. And we start to pretend to be more enlightened than we are. And this is like kind of a pitfall. It's very common. I've done that. I'm sure you've done that. If you're into, like, if you're watching my videos, you're most likely into this kind of stuff. So this is something that it does more harm than good at some point. Like, it's good to understand how things need to be in order to know where you want to go. But when you start pretending that you're more enlightened than you actually are, it doesn't bring you closer to where you want to be. It kind of just makes the process longer, because you act as if you were already enlightened, and you can fool other people, but you cannot fool yourself. Like, you still don't feel that way. And it takes a lot of energy from you to pretend, like, to suppress the emotions that you're feeling and to pretend that you are actually way more enlightened than you actually are. And so instead of spending the energy on actually working on the problem, which is deeper than just behavior, it's always deeper than just behavior, you start trying to change the behavior without changing the root cause. So it's like when you have weeds in your garden, you'd like cut them instead of just plucking the root and getting rid of the problem. Or like when you take analgesics instead of like treating the root cause of your illness. So once we have understood that we have a problem and we stop pretending like we don't have a problem, the next step is to go emotionally and face the fear that usually lies behind the problem. So here we step in the land of emotional exploration. So we need to go, and usually I recommend doing it with a specialist, because we have a lot of defense mechanisms that are there for a reason, and they protect us. They are really good to us. But what they also do is they don't allow us to look at things that are painful and that for example, our shadow that is not attractive to us, we don't want to look there because we don't want to believe that we are not 100% good and that we have also some sides that are not so shiny and bright. So the next part is the emotional work. So that's where we actually pull our sleeves up and we start looking into the things that we didn't want to look at. So there, what we can find. Usually there is some kind of fear or some kind of belief of scarcity. There is some sort of maybe anger, but it's a secondary emotion. So most likely it is fear or sadness. And there we need to face it. We need to go there and we need to stay there and we need to let it go through us to understand what is the belief that is causing this emotion. And most likely it's a belief about yourself or about the world. So it can be something like, I'm not worthy of a job with a good salary where I'm treated right because XYZ, or it's because all men are cheaters and it's just a matter of time when they cheat on you. Or it can be like the entire world is a very unsafe place and everyone is like supposed to fight for themselves and you're not supposed to cooperate and like stuff like that. So it can be very individual. It really depends on your personal situation. And it's very likely not reachable just by mentalizing the problem. So it might be even something seemingly completely unrelated to the problem. So maybe your relationship with people of the sex that you are attracted to, the belief there is not about, for example, men or women, but about your worth as yourself or about the world and the safety in it and so on. So it's not necessarily such a linear dependence. And this is why, because emotions don't work like that, like they're not logical. And this is why you usually need someone to walk you through this process, because you can discover very interesting things during this process. And a lot of the times when we get to the root problem and we change this negative belief, we change this negative pattern, it also starts influences positively other aspects of our life. So we start working through, for example, our relationship with our body, and then we have solved the problem that was at the core of it. And it also influences our relationship with our friends or how we perform at our job or our procrastination habits and stuff like that. So we never know how it's actually going to turn out in the end, because sometimes you just understand months later, wow, I stopped doing this, which I haven't actually worked in therapy, but it was kind of like a collateral, not damage, but like secondary effect. Anyway, so that was the second step. It's the most difficult one because people will do anything not to look at this kind of stuff because it's painful, because it's not attractive, it's not that shiny. And even people who go to therapy, oftentimes, like, as I said, most of my clients are super intelligent and they try to intellectualize everything. And it's very difficult to make this kind of people actually connect to their emotions and like get out of their heads. And nowadays we have like a lot of information and people tend to get stuck in their heads and not be very connected to their emotions. So actually one thing that I can recommend to connect to your emotions better is meditation. I think I have talked about it before, but meditation is a very nice tool to learn to just accept the emotions as they come, because you just sit there and you observe them and you try not to get attached to them or react upon them. You just accept that they're there and you stay there with them. And I think it's a super important tool if you want to start self-work, if you want to go to therapy, if you want to start doing coaching. It's just something that will allow yourself to get to know yourself better and also just to stay there with some sort of emotional discomfort without trying to change it or influence it. And then the last step, and not least important, a lot of people actually kind of give up on that, but it's actually super important, and it's taking action on the new thing that you have discovered. So after you have discovered the negative belief and you have changed it to a helpful belief that will help you in the life that you want to lead, and you need to create some kind of like a promise of an action that you're going to do in order to establish a new neuron connection in your brain. So we have this like neurological pathways, and they are like highways if we train them a lot. So if you, for example, drive a car, the first times you drive a car, you usually like they are super, I didn't drive a car, I don't know, but I know that it is like this. So like it's usually stressful and you're super alert and you cannot do anything, like cannot talk to other people. You just like are there trying to drive well. And then if you have driven a car for years, you can go and put your makeup on or talk on the phone. Like don't talk on your phone when you're in a car, but I mean you can like do other stuff, and it's just automatic. So the same with our neurological pathways, and it's actually like so this is how the neurological pathways work. If we do a thing or we have a thought repeatedly, it creates this like super strong connection. And in order to change that, we need to change kind of like the source and the outcome. And then we need to remove this way that, you know, like when you walk on the grass all the time in the same place, like the grass is not there anymore. And this like this kind of like human created pathway. So the same in your brain. And yeah, so in order to change that, you need to start acting upon your new belief, upon your new view of the world. And yeah, so it can be, and it should be, something more simple in the beginning. So something that you can do easily and you know that you can do, and then you need to celebrate that. And then you need to kind of like make the stakes higher and higher and higher until you have learned this behavior and it has been established in your head. Because otherwise, if you just went to therapy and you changed this negative belief and they never did anything about it, like habits are powerful. So you will just go back to how you were, and it can be not so helpful as it could be if you would act upon it. So that's why I always give a lot of homework to my clients, because therapy is not just about, you know, like going there once a week or once in 2 weeks and talking to someone. It's also like working on yourself in the time that you're not in your consultation. Okay, I hope that this was helpful. Tell me if you have done any of this process before. Please let me know if you have this feeling of, oh my God, I know that I shouldn't be feeling this way, but I do feel this way. And is it frustrating to you? And how do you deal with that? And just whatever you want. And if you want me to make a video about something else, please also let me know in the comments. I love you very much. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself and to others. And I will see you when I see you. Bye.